Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. It's so good to see you. Hey, my name's Ron Beaudry, and I have a YouTube channel where I talk about records. And mostly what I do is I talk about which records sound better than other ones. And so today, I've got the brand new Mobile Fidelity. This is the DSD version. And they, of course, most folks know this, of course, that they put this record out. This was the first kind of like one step that they did, which is instead of like a three-step process to make a record, it's a one step. So you get closer and closer to the master tape. Of course, you can't make as many records that way, but they sound better. So they did a one step and they took it right from the master tape. They made a DSD file of the master tape, and you can tell. Now, in that record now, they only made 600 or a very low number, 900 or something. And of course, they want $2,000, $3,000 for it. I think Mike at the Ingrew said he finally bought when they were up to 900. He said, I better pull the pin because they're not getting any cheaper. Yeah, $2,000. If I'm going to spend $2,000 on my stereo stuff, I'm probably going to get a new phono preamp. I'm not buying a record. So this came out, I was so excited, and I never wondered, why don't they've got, the cat's out of the bag, folks. We know you made a copy of the master tape, right? You made a DSD file of that. You can make more records from that, right? You can make more. It's not like you got a one time to have the original tape and then try to make a one step from that. No, you've got your own tape now. You can make more. And so I think to protect the integrity of the original press, they came out with a 33 and a third version. The other one was a one step on a 2LP 45 RPM. This is the highest res you can get for records nowadays. And everybody loved it. Said it was the best record they'd ever heard. So I saw this, was it 6 weeks ago or so, maybe. I saw that they were going to reissue this. So I got right away, I put my pre-order in, and I've got number 627. So got a fairly early cover, put it that way. And it is on a nice big gatefold. Very nice. It's very thick. Not as super thick as, say, a classic records would have been, but it's mofi thick, it's very nice. This is at least original back in 1960, 70 or so when this came out. And they did put it on 180 gram vinyl. I watched a video yesterday and the guy was talking about 180 gram records, like they're supposed to, be hi-fi and sound better. All that does, folks, 180 gram, 200 gram, they make them thicker because they're less prone to warpage. That's why you do a 180 gram record. And with that, now you're going to a higher standard. So if folks are making a 180 gram record, most of them they've got better mastering engineers. They're getting impressed at RTI. They're just making a better record. That's why they're going the extra step to make them thicker. And so not always, but it's a good gauge that if it's a 180 gram or a 200 gram, it's probably made to a higher standard of quality of sound on the record as well. Not always, but that's what you can do. So some folks said, well, it was 180 gram and it really didn't sound any better than the other one. Well, if it's the big record company making the record, it's still going to be a digital record and it's not going to be any different than the 140 gram record. So we got that out of the way. So, hey, Ron, how's it sound? Yeah, it's fantastic, folks. This record has got so much more inner detail, so much more micro detail. You notice it especially on all the Latin percussion instruments, the congas, the bongos, the gyro. That's the gyro. What do they call it? I forgot how you pronounce it already. The miro, I think it's called. Yeah, it starts with the G, but they pronounce it with an M sound. Miro. That where they rub up and down on that stick. That's more pronounced. Especially like And there's this one part where there's a really big cymbal crash between one part of the song and when it switches to the next. It's a big cymbal crash. And wow, I don't know if there's rivets on that or not, but the decay, how long you can hear the cymbals in the background. Another thing I noticed was on the voice. I tried to hear how much better the voice was. And right at the beginning, it sounds like, well, I don't really hear that much more realism in the voice. But I did notice there was more echo. There was more. That's one of the hallmarks when you get a better quality recording or better gear. You're noticing what you call that echo. You can hear more of that type of sound. And so I'm noticing it on this one. It has more of that. That's a telltale sign of fidelity. Plus the attack on the cymbal or the attack on the bongos, especially now the cowbell, when he's banging on that, the metallic sound of the bell is so distinct. The cowbell sound is so distinct that you really hear the more of the metallic in it. And the organ, the layers of texture in the organ is 3 times what you're going to get on the other recording that I was using. Had a couple other recordings. So what did I compare it to? Well, I've had this half-speed master, which also came on a gatefold. It's not as thick as the mofi, but you know what they do? You get the poster inside this one. Yeah, it's nice. You get the poster. Now, the OG came with the poster, the Columbia 2i. And for those that haven't seen the poster, of course, you don't get a poster with the mofi. It's not a thing. But here's the poster that comes with the original. And it also came with this CBS half-speed master. Extended range recording, they call it. And I used to also have the Wish You Were Here on this same CBS. And I had Tubular Bells. And I did a video about that Tubular Bells. And I had made a couple. I compared the Tubular Bells to the Classic Records edition came out with Tubular Bells. And I had the CBS sound, and I compared them. And I was hearing more of the high end on this recording. And then I got a Japanese recording of it. And I realized at that point now, I wish I still had the Classic Records edition because I got rid of it because I thought this one sounded better. But, you know, the more you listen to different versions of records, you'll learn why things sound the way they do. And this one is bright. What they're doing is kind of a different mix. The same with that Tubular Bells. They kind of just jacked up the high end. So I heard more of the triangle. I heard more of the different things. But was I hearing more detail in it? Or was it just louder? And this is what this is doing as well. It's just louder. The guitar's louder. His voice is louder. All the cymbals are louder. But they don't have the detail of the mofi. They don't sound realistic. This sounds, it's got all those hallmarks of what realism. And again, okay, this is another thing that I notice, especially on records that I've heard hundreds of times, right? I've heard this Black Magic Woman, Omokoya Va. That's the two I listen to back to compare everything. Hundreds of times we've heard these songs. You know, this is one of the classic records of classic rock, right? So I know it by heart, basically. And I'm listening to it, and that's kind of the main way I'm comparing it to my memory, because I know it. And I'm hearing so much more music. So what happens to me when that happens, yeah, the hair is starting to stand up. I've got the goose chilled, the goosebumps, hairs on my arms. Yeah, it's doing it. Not at the beginning it didn't, but once I started to hear all the different nuances, then it started, then my hair's starting to stand up. It's got the juice on it that does that to you. So that's another good sign. And what else did I have to compare to? I've got this Sony, this is a quadraphonic record. This is an OG quadraphonic record, probably from 74 or so. And this also comes with a poster. But yeah, this is about 3 times the thickness of the other poster, which is, I think, from 76 or 8 maybe in those days. But this is, and you can even see it's got a little bit of the yellowing on the top. It's also got a big, thick, huge poster in it. I got a feeling one of these posters might make it over to the mofi. You know, I like to do the Frankensteining, especially on a record like this, because this is SQ. Now SQ, there was different records made. They had discrete 4-channel, Sansui, and this is a Sony one. Sony and Sansui and JVC, everybody had a different way to decode and to encode their records. And so this version now, it sounds like you've got 4 channels, but you're only listening to 2. There's a lot of stuff that's not there. And at one point, when the guitar first starts, it's like in the background, right? It's like not even in the mix. But then later, when it comes back, you can hear the guitar really good. His voice is in the forefront. There's no organ, right? So it's more of a novelty. It's more for fun. It's more of a novelty. It's just to hear like a different, complete mix of the stuff. It's recorded really well, but it's not a record you're going to be able to compare, right? The sonics of. And so then I was thinking, let's just go back to we'll talk a little bit more about the mofi. I think y'all know how I feel about the record. It's really good. If you were considering, should I get it or not? And here's another thing too. I don't have a Columbia 2i because I've had the CBS Master Sound probably since 85. So I've had it for like 40 years, right? It's not a record I listen to a lot. And as I was listening to this record, I was thinking about, why is it that I don't listen to that other record? It's not a thing that I do. It's not a record I go to. It's because of the quality of the recording. It's bright. It's got lots of detail. It sounds fantastic. You think, hey, this is like an audiophile sounding record, but it doesn't have that realism in the music. And those are the records that I tend to sometimes, even like Anders Vollenweider, right? It's not my favorite kind of music, but it's just recorded so beautifully. It just makes my stereo sound so great. I'll listen to it. And maybe that's why I'm not listening to this record. But this is a record, when I was listening to it, I said, no, this is a record I will listen to more now because it's done so well. So I've never listened to the one-step 45 RPM record, but I do have a one-step. I have the Yes Fragile. I do have that on a one-step. Okay. And I do have the original Santana. That is a 2LP 45 RPM that actually came up before the one-step did. And I was keeping my eye out for the one-step. I knew they were going to release it. And then, you know, I didn't look at their website for a week and boom, they're gone, right? They went that fast. So I missed out on it. But this one, this 45 RPM now, it's bigger. It's got more air. You've got a bigger sound stage. It fills up the room more. That's what these 45 RPM records do. They really do. And that's probably one of the things you're going to hear on the 45 versus the 33. You're going to hear that type of thing. I've also got for the Tillerman. I bought this on the 33 when it first came out. It was the 33. And then it came out on 45. And the 45 was better than the 33. And it was significantly better. I was shocked. And when I did the review, a bunch of folks are like, well, Ron, you know what? I've got that 33. I watched your video. I bought the 33. How can the 45 be better? This is so good. And I said, that's right. How could it be? But it is. So from that experience that I've got, right? Is the 45 one step better than this? Yeah, well, you kind of know that. But how is it better? I think in those terms, it's going to have more detail. It's going to be bigger. It's going to sound the sound stage is going to sound bigger. Another thing I noticed on this record, talking about that, was when they're singing the chorus. There's 3-4 fellas singing on what was it? Let me look at it. The CBS, the half speed. Yeah, on the half speed, of course, it's more like the 2i would be, the original press. You can hear there's multiple people singing, but on this one, they're becoming more distinct. There's air around the voices. You can hear, but there are more distinct people singing. There's more detail. There's more texture in the vocals a lot, and it's better separation. I could really hear a lot better separation on this record than on the half speed, the CBS one. So there's so many hallmarks of audiophile quality on this record, yeah. And this is one of the things about how good now digital's got, because back in the 80s, that was the one thing, and also the snare drum. And I heard the snare drum on this, and I said, that is a snare drum. You can tell, and it sounds exactly the way a snare drum's supposed to sound. You can tell when it's the conga. You can tell when it's the bongo. You can hear all that hands hitting, and that, especially like I said, the attack. You can hear the stick hitting on the cymbal, hitting on the cowbell. You get that first attack. The leading edges are really sharp. They really hit. And it's just all the hallmarks of audiophile quality stuff. And I don't even remember what I paid for it, but if you don't have an audiophile version of this record, get it while you can. I don't know how many they're going to make. Maybe they might be in their catalog forever. I don't know. But if you love the record and you want a really good sounding version of it, this is the one to get. And I think I covered everything. Thanks so much for watching. I sure hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did enjoy, do all, the regular, YouTube stuff and subscribe and like and all that. And thanks again. Bye for now.